Here's how to report side hustle income on your taxes. So I use TurboTax. I've used it for over 10 years. You can actually click the link in the description to get 20% off of your federal tax filing through TurboTax. Now, I am not giving you tax advice, but I will show you how to use the platform and where you would input your self-employment income. I'd suggest you consult your own tax professional about your tax situation or one of TurboTax experts. Now, using the platform, it's really easy. It kind of gives you this guided agenda on the left. And underneath federal, we can go to income. And either you're starting that section or you actually already have some income in there, and you can just go to the summary here. So we're going to go to the summary, and inside of here, we're going to see wages and salaries. We might see a button here that will display this drop down of information, but you're going to see self-employment. That's where those side hustle income, anything you're making on the side, not in your W-2, like if you're getting a 1099 NEC or K, any of that's going to be in here, as well as filling out expenses. So we have self-employment income and expenses. So we're going to visit that or revisit it and kind of go, and basically what you do is you answer yes to this question, right? Did you have any self-employment income? If you have a side hustle and you've made some money on the side, then yes, you do. And so once we say yes, we're going to have to enter in the line of work. So we're going to describe what that side hustle is. We're going to fill out some information on it, and then we're going to fill out the income and the expenses. Now, I'm just going to show you where to enter all of this. I'm going to fill in just sample information. This whole tax return is sample information. But for instance, it shows some examples of like, what do you work in? Well, maybe I'll say graphic design in this case, right? So this side hustle is some graphic design work I've done. And you kind of describe the line of work that encompasses all of that side income. Or if you have multiple lines of work, you can actually start this one. And then if you have another one that's totally separate that you get income from, then you can create a different line of work. So you can have multiple here. But we'll say graphic design, and I'm going to continue. And then it kind of asks you how you're going to classify that. So in your case, if it's side hustle income, then this is probably a side job for extra money. For some of you, this might be a business that you own and operate. If you're truly like self-employed, then this would be your main or only source of income, but maybe it's just a side job. So we're going to click that to kind of zero in on the details of that work. So we hit continue. It's going to ask how long you've done this. Maybe you started this year or stopped it this year at some point, or neither of those options applied because you've been doing this for a long time, for years and years. I'm going to hit continue. Do you make any payments? So like if you make payments of $600 or more, then you would actually have to fill out a 1099 NEC for the contractors or whomever you've paid. And so that's why it's asking you basically if you've made any payments like this on your business. But perhaps if it's side hustle, you probably haven't made any of those. We're going to continue, and then any of these less common situations, kind of go through and look at things for your tax situation. I'm going to go ahead and click none of these apply, and then it's going to kind of show you the info of this line of work that you filled out. There might be some other areas around here that you should fill in, but I'm going to say looks good, and we're going to move on because then we're going to be able to enter in our income for that line of work. You might have a 1099 NEC or 1099K, other self-employed income. Maybe you got cash and checks, right? And so maybe it's people that have paid that aren't giving you an actual 1099 and you're just reporting this income. So you might look through this and find, oh, 1099 in my miscellaneous. You know, that might be something that you have to fill out. I'm just going to go ahead and click 1099 NEC as an example, and we will fill in just some sample info. So I would continue, and then essentially you're going to fill in who paid you. I'm going to say it's Acme paid me, and then how was the federal ID. So you got this 1099 in front of you, so you're going to fill in the information from that. And so I'm going to go ahead and put in a lot of fives here. And non-employee compensation is usually how these come through. I'm going to say it was $5,000. And then these other boxes you may or may not have info in. And then from there, if you do, you just check mark whatever applies, fill in whatever applies, and hit continue. And now you can look at, you know, if you made tips on this income, you can deduct, or overtime, you can deduct, but on this one, I'm going to say no. You know, for a side hustle, maybe not, but maybe you did. You know, maybe you're side hustling, you cut hair on the side or something, and you know, you charge people, but they also tip or something like that. To report that, you can deduct. But of course, like I said, not tax information, or not tax advice, but consult a tax professional on that, or the TurboTax documents on deducting tips and other things. Do you have any more self-employed income from this line of work to add? You could say yes. Maybe you have multiple 1099s from different sources of income, or no, maybe it's just one that you've reported, and you hit continue. And then it will probably ask about your expenses. So you can deduct certain expenses, since this is kind of like business income. There's home office deduction, there's all kinds of stuff, and you can enter those in manually if you'd like. We'll continue on, and you'll see some examples that might apply to your work, like supplies that you've purchased. In this case, it's actually showing like design software, because I said graphic design. And then home office deduction, communications, telephone use, all that kind of stuff. So you can deduct expenses here as well. So you report that side hustle income, and then you also can deduct expenses. We continue from there, and it's going to give us a nice little summary of all the expenses and the income, and kind of a business summary of this line of work. It's going to show us the basic like deduction here of our income and expenses, and then the taxable income that's left over. We can continue on and basically fill out some more questions on that. I'm going to go ahead and skip through this a little bit. Most of it's just information that is going to be dependent on your situation. It wasn't for a former employer, and no, there's no deductions that I would claim elsewhere, etc. And so it's going to double check through that. I think we've made it past. Yeah, it's going to double check through the actual income and expenses of that line of work. This is what I like about TurboTax. There's a lot of double checking, and when I used to do taxes and actually do, hand fill them out, you just don't know what you're doing, if you're doing it right. And so TurboTax is like a guide, and you can actually get live help as well. And like I said, click that link in the description or the top comment if you are going to sign in or sign up to file your taxes with TurboTax and have this sort of support. And say, no, I had no other line of work. So this is where if you did have multiple lines of work, you would say yes, but I'll say no to this part and continue. And it's going to basically give you a summary of your self-employment tax so far, and hit continue. And there's my self-employed work that we've filled in. But like I was saying, if you want to save 20% on your federal tax filing through TurboTax, you can click the link in the description or down below. I do get compensated by that from TurboTax. It's an affiliate link, but it goes to help support this channel. I appreciate you guys. Hopefully you can save some money doing that, and hopefully you find it easy to claim that side hustle income on TurboTax on your taxes this year.